There are some shocking allegations this morning about the conduct at one of America's most revered sites, Arlington National Cemetery.
Part of the issue is many of Arlington's records are not digitized.
Outrage from several families after poor record keeping at Arlington National Cemetery.
61 deficiencies, among them being a deplorable organizational climate, archaic record keeping.
The heroes that rest at Arlington National Cemetery didn't run from their challenges. So too, the Arlington National Cemetery organization needed to respond. What was required was not incremental improvements, but a complete evolution.
When I tell people that I work at Arlington National Cemetery, they usually take a step back. They say, how are things? We don't get a lot of positive news. And I tell them about 2 years ago, we were still typing on typewriters on 3x5 cards, and we didn't have fire suppression systems. Despite all those challenges, how much change we've been able to make in the 2 years.
And one of the things that we found when we first came here in 2010 was clearly these records here are not how you would run a modern operation.
Today, every single record going back to 1864 is digitized, and each plot geospatially mapped to within a 3-inch GPS accuracy.
On the IT side, we have the GIS tool. It's a digital image of the entire cemetery. The guys who go out to excavate a gravesite now go about it differently than they did 3 years ago.
What we've got up here is our scheduling system.
New software tools enable improved funeral service planning.
It's a really detailed image, and so I'm able to assign grave sites according to the schedule for the day I'm working on, to make sure that the honors don't conflict.
So that you don't hear dueling firing parties or, the Army band trying to outdo Anchors Away in the Navy song.
Advanced tools for the public.
A family will come to the cemetery and say, where is my loved one buried? With our new iPhone app, I can come to the cemetery looking for my grandfather, enter his name, and get walking directions to his gravesite. As I walk to his gravesite, I can follow myself on the map and watch my blue icon navigate to his headstone. And there we have a Sergeant First Class in the U.S. Army who served in Korea.
And increased quality assurance and accountability.
It's another step in the chain in terms of accountability.
We've attempted to leverage technology so that we can build the quality control and quality assurance checks into our processes so that we don't have to relive the deficiencies identified during the 2010 Department of the Army Inspector General report.
So in the past 2 years, what we've been able to do is to bring the premier military cemetery to the modern world. And so we know that we're being able to take care of the veterans and their family members as they should.
An entire customer service center was established.
Since we've been open December 13th of 2010, we've received about 110,000 interactions. Thank you for calling Arlington National Cemetery. This is Markia. How may I help you?
An advanced case management system now tracks family services from first call to funeral scheduling to online headstone design.
We take the veteran's information or the spouse of the veteran's information. After we take all that information, we have a case number that we have for them. People receive the case number so they won't get lost in the system. Just one moment, sir. I'm going to check to see if the scheduling agent who's assigned to your case, see if he is available.
After we schedule your service, we send you a confirmation sheet so that we have a quality control checklist, not only on the service that your family will expect, but then also on the spelling of your loved one's name, on the date of birth and date of death of the service, on his branch of service. Then on the day of the service, we do another QA check on the headstone, and we have a headstone designer tool that allows you to log in and template what you think your loved one's headstone should look like based on some of the rules that are available.
When we get calls, we can actually look in our database and see pictures of their headstone, and we can actually send those pictures to family members as well. I've lost a brother in 9/11, and we had to organize services with him. So I typically know how it feels to lose somebody. I won't say that I know their specific feelings, but I know how I felt. And I'm able to place myself in their situation and try to be there for them as somebody was there for me. You're welcome, sir. You have a great day.
Chain of custody includes the process of ensuring the right remains end up in the right gravesite 100% of the time. 2 years ago, deficiencies were discovered.
Well, the chain of custody that's has been implemented here at Arlington is probably the strictest in the country.
As an example, today's service. I'm Christine. I'm the cemetery representative from Arlington that's going to be assisting you this afternoon. The funeral home arrived with the remains of PFC Ellis, and they provided us with the appropriate documentation that they received from Dover Air Force Base. And right now I have responsibility for PFC Ellis's remains. Right now we've just left the Memorial Chapel, and I'm leading PFC Ellis's full honors procession through the cemetery down to section 60. Ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude our service, and we'll now be leaving together to allow the immediate members of the Ellis family a few moments of privacy. 3 or 5 were complete in section 60.
And once they get away from the burial site, that's when it's our job to come in. We come in, we bring our equipment in.
At the conclusion of the service, I will then have the ground staff sign off on our gravesite checklist that we have.
Before the casket is turned over to the field staff, we have to sign a chain of custody form that the work leader or the supervisor will sign at that time before the cemetery rep actually leaves the gravesite.
And at that point, I'm turning the responsibility over to the ground staff.
Everybody has an interment schedule. Everybody checks the casket tag, temporary marker, the number on the government liner. The numbers are actually painted on the government liners, both inside and on the lid.
We'll lower the body down to a concrete liner. The contractor will come in from the vault company. He'll put the lid on.
And it's checked over and over and over again. It's 4 people, 5 people, 6 checks before that casket is ever lowered into the government liner for closing.
The information that the field operations crew is using during the chain of custody process is generated from a single system, ensuring there's consistency across the record of the eligible veteran that we're burying and the location they're burying it.
What else we got? We got Dave, anything else?
The grave is closed completely. The checks again with the temporary marker against the interment schedule.
We check those temporary markers with the stones beside it, the stones behind it, and we have numbers on the temporary markers for the stones beside and behind that come off of the maps. So we make sure that we're in the right spot. Right now, 31.
Again, being the last person that leaves that gravesite, checks it for the last time before he or she leaves the gravesite. So when they do come to visit, when they see that headstone, they know that their loved one is in the proper gravesite.
With new leadership and workplace culture, there has been a marked increase in morale, dedication, teamwork, and attention to detail.
When the new management came, everything changed pretty quick.
Very quickly, in a matter of months, if not less than that, you could see the change in the workforce and the buy-in from the workforce to the new leadership style that was being brought in place.
In my opinion, there's more of an assurance of quality. You know, like if these graves aren't closed up to standard at the end of the day, it's a problem. You know, it's not like, you know, well, so-and-so didn't do very good today. It has to be done perfect.
The work ethic is up. People understand more of their job, understand more what they're doing.
You could ask 3 people the same question and get 3 different answers 2 years ago. As we're today, there's a procedure in place for everything.
You have that first step in the process, then you have someone else who comes behind them and checks, and then you have the crew when they come to excavate checks, and there's a process of everyone, you know, I mean, it's checked so many times.
And that gives you a sense of confidence in going through your job, that it's not just myself checking a gravesite number to make sure that it's correct.
What we do every day, I wouldn't be ashamed for anybody in any industry to see it. Workflow, the way the schedule demands what it demands of us, and that we meet it and exceed the expectations. Yeah, I'm proud of being a part of it.
We are bringing the whole organization, the cemetery, back to the standards that our nation expects and that the nation deserves.
Arlington is embracing more sustainable environmental stewardship.
This is what you would call a sustainable landscape. You're planting not only for the people, for the visitors here at Arlington, for the family, but we're also planning for wildlife. We're getting away from monocultures, just one thing, and having it more diverse, a little bit of a niche, a little ecosystem.
We've downsized some of the equipment. A lot of it is electric or hybrid. There's 4 or 5 of these electric small vehicles. There's a couple all-electric cars. The vans for the facilities maintenance people, they use all-electric vehicles. A couple of hybrid trucks.
The sustainability involves not using so much of our natural resources. It's working. It's working. There's wildlife coming to this, and it makes me very happy. It makes me proud. We're doing something else instead of just the annuals, which again is nice, but this is larger. It's bigger. The cemetery is for the living. It's for the family members that come and visit their loved ones, and while they're here, if they can enjoy a landscape with life, then that's even better.
Cemetery leadership have successfully planned for the future.
If we did nothing by 2025, we would run out of space. Thankfully, with foresight, our leadership has made a priority in order to expand now. And so we've got 2 areas, the Millennium Project, which is on our corner between here and Joint Base Meyer Henderson Hall, and then the Navy Annex, which is right beside the Air Force Memorial. Those buildings are coming down as well. And so we are proactively working now with the help and support of the Secretary of the Army, with support from Congress, to begin the plan so that by in the 2050s, we'll still be able to have those first interment, so that the life of the cemetery will go on for many generations to come.
Like no other place, the solemn spaces of Arlington National Cemetery retain our nation's honor. For a dedicated few, it is their workplace and their passion.
Only 150 individuals get the privilege of saying, I get to work at Arlington National Cemetery. And I feel that way every day, so.
The original gardener it was amazing, the visions that were here. So I feel lucky that I'm here, that I can supplement and add to this.
Because I had just been a tourist, a visitor here to the cemetery twice before, and I just fell in love with it. I had an emotional experience walking through the cemetery. And I'm still in awe that I get to come and work here every day and do what I do. It's amazing.
I think of my job here at Arlington National Cemetery as service. Just like anybody else serves for their country. It's not the same, but I like to be able to show my respect by working for Arlington National Cemetery for the people who give their lives for us every day.
My friends, a lot of them just like, how can you do it? How do you deal with, dead people? I don't look at it that way, Each one of those headstones represents a human that fought for our country. Without these people, we might not have any freedom. And actually, I feel like I'm doing my service now. I'm catching my service on the back end.
Yeah, I drove 703 miles just to interview from Georgia. So, yeah, I wanted to come here. Always wanted to come here. I like to provide for my family, but this is I couldn't pick a better way to do it, The opportunity to serve, the opportunity to reflect the service that those guys do.
People believe this is a park. It's not a park, it's a cemetery, it's a national shrine. You see the caissons going down the street with the band and the honor guard, and every time I see it, I'm overwhelmed with it. It's just a beautiful sight. And, to see that our nation takes care of our heroes that way, it's wonderful.